Excellent.
Most wonderful.
A glorious occasion we find ourselves in.
With the blood moon blessing thy protests.
The blood moon rises. The blood moon. Praise the blood moon. Praise the blood. We come from the blood. Bloodborne.
We shall return.
And to blood, praise the old blood. And Bloodborne analogies. Call out, shout out to the legendary game that was Bloodborne. Still haven't finished Elden Ring. Not as good as Bloodborne. Praise the old blood.
Elon says it's the best game ever.
Elden Ring. Elon is a schmuck, Luigi. Now a classic schmuck, by the way. Now you mentioned the Elon Meister. The whole PR about him being the hardest worker on planet Earth, the hardest working of billionaires. The whole PR behind that. Did you check his stats on Elden Ring? Because he played a shitload of Elden Ring, Luigi. Someone should fucking be able to account for that in his tellings of being the hardest worker ever. And by the way, his stats suck. He had a heavy load. A heavy load means you can roll, basically. And without rolling to avoid incoming attacks in Elden Ring on any of the From Software games, you're done for. You never have a heavy load.
Maybe he was handicapping himself.
Maybe he was that good. Maybe.
Seriously though, I mean, Elon has been. Elon has only done Twitter for the last month. They're like, the dude is running another 2 companies. Like, what's happening at SpaceX right now? Maybe run by Mickey Mouse.
Maybe the engineers finally have time to actually work on those things now without having Elon brandishing his new flamethrower weapon.
Impregnating random employees.
Tending to the underpopulation crisis of the United States. Someone has to do it.
Right after he landed people on Mars and right after he protected free speech, in between those two.
Cars that drive nowhere.
All right, so are we doing this?
Yes, of course. We have already begun. We
eased into it. Welcome, folks. We're gonna
welcome our beautiful audience, Luigi. Show them some love.
It's going to be a more fluent session today, a less structured, more chaotic, embracing the anarchy kind of session. But welcome. It's been a while. We do.
It's gonna be more Dali than Michelangelo. We're gonna go. Yes. We're gonna do artistic metaphors.
Yeah. In Europe, we've been on a hiatus. In Europe, we do kind of Christmas before Christmas kind of sessions. We don't work much, it's true.
the Christmas preparations. But we've had some good news lately, I'm going to say.
So much, a lot of content.
I mean, we discussed the Democrats holding on. They held to every one of those seats that, remember, Nevada, etc. They held on. Georgia hasn't been decided yet. It has still on the runoff.
I was reading that
Herschel Walker has been going around talking about vampires and werewolves. I love that.
I saw that. I was also reading that early voting has gone to record levels. Like the first day, early voting opened.
I suspect that means Herschel's done for, but we'll see. We'll see because Republicans not too into early voting. We hate it, folks. They steal.
It's stolen.
They make you vote on bamboo.
And speaking of bamboo and China, that has been a very hot place lately. A very let's say
things have been happening.
Yeah, things that if I had told you that like a few months ago, Chinese people would be chanting in the streets.
Yeah, but not that
democracy.
Many. Let's say not that many. I mean, you know better than me.
Just once, but it's like
because I haven't looked into
enough.
this. That yeah, I mean, it genuinely made an impression on me because
it was considered impossible.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, exactly, and it does make an impression, even if it's 3 people, because they're gonna disappear. So I mean, it takes balls of steel. Exactly. So it doesn't happen often. Yeah, I mean, they're holding blank pieces of paper, people. That's what a protest constitutes in China, constitutes us. A blank piece, and you're like, why the fuck is he holding a blank piece of paper? Seize him.
So let's give the background.
It started with a fire, right?
Yeah, it started with a fire. 10 people died in an apartment building where the fire exit, I believe, was blocked because of
COVID restrictions. Yeah,
and there were also obstacles in front of the apartment building, which prevented the fire truck from getting in range to properly.
I imagine obstacles were there for COVID. Yeah, exactly. So people couldn't get out easily, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, every mass protest has a very distinct spark. Like in the US, it was the George Floyd's.
In the US, usually something racist happened.
Yeah,
that's why you get protests.
In Iran, it was
in Iran it was sexist. It was patriarchal sexism. It was
Her name was
Amini. Sorry, yeah.
Masa Amini.
Sparked by violence against women in Iran. In America, a racist cop killed a black person.
In China, it was
they've had too much COVID restriction. They've had too much of it, I believe. I mean, do you know another country that is still going so hardcore with the COVID restrictions?
Nobody else.
They're the only ones, right? Out of every country in the planet.
First ones in,
last ones out. Wow, beautiful sign.
The funniest part that I've heard lately, when they show the World Cup in China,
I've heard
the seats of people, like you can't see the stands, they're blurred just so that domestically Chinese people don't see everyone not wearing masks.
Instead of cutting off to the stands, showing the crowds that are unmasked and having, I wouldn't say a jolly good time because they've got no alcohol, but let's say they got no alcohol.
That must have been a really funny decision.
But, they announced the day before. It was like, you motherfuckers, you still going on. You keep going on about gay rights. Fuck you, no alcohol.
They found Budweiser to be the official sponsor, and like one day before the
and let's be honest, that's barely alcohol.
Exactly. It's basically what you drink to go to the toilet multiple times. So maybe that's the angle. Maybe
even that wasn't enough. Even
they congest the bathrooms in the stadiums.
I mean, for real. Even after that, they were like, I think it was sorry to go off rails, but a demonstration of soft power by Qatar. It was like, you want to come? We bought this fucking World Cup. It's ours. We've had enough of your criticisms. Fuck you. No beer, no alcohol.
I thought there were some English fans that tried to enter the stadium dressed as crusaders. Full on, like with the shields.
An excellent outfit choice. Considering
the Middle East. It's like, well, my ancestor Richard the Lionheart came to conquer this land 1,000 years ago.
It's like going to a bar mitzvah dressed as a Nazi. I have arrived,
Do you know Kanye West? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some pretty good stuff.
Our biggest supporter,
But with China, we were discussing Luigi. Let's roll back the
tape.
We went too far. But if we roll it back just a little bit, we go back to that China was censoring those scenes whenever there were crowds supporting and having a mediocre to good time, let's say. Instead of showing them, they cut off to players, to close-ups of players, stuff like that, because they're allowed to choose their shots, so they've got some leeway, and China delays the broadcast a little bit, so they've got some editing power. And I think they showed initially it was the opening ceremony, and that actually caused distress in China because every Chinese person that's been under constant threat of lockdown for the past 3 years now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of us have even forgotten about this shit. Nobody even remembers COVID at this point. And those people
I haven't worn a mask in months.
And those people, I even travel a bit, and I take some masks, but nobody's wearing them anywhere in Europe. So you don't actually need them.
They look at you funny, like if you enter a supermarket.
They look at you.
People are like, "What the fuck? Like this guy's still living in 2020."
No. This is an exaggeration by my friend. They don't look funny. Everybody looks at everybody funny in this place. So imagine 3 years constantly under threat of full-on lockdown happening in your place if more than 3 cases arise around your area. And I think they've had enough. Particularly enough. And
what makes me... I've heard a lot of people describe it, and like, imagine living in a 30-story apartment building where if a single person gets COVID, you get to stay at home for 2 weeks without any warning.
It's maddening. And I imagine barely any financial support. Barely.
Exactly. And even physical. Imagine, I was listening to a person being like, you have to keep your fridge stuffed because you never know when you're going to spend 2 weeks without access to the outside world. And
it's unbelievable.
It's not the European kind of lockdowns, when you had an hour or something.
No. They do them tough in China. They do them the most draconian ones you've ever seen. They weld the fucking door shut if need be.
Yeah.
And I think they've had enough, Luigi. But we've discussed it at the Politburo coronation ceremony that happened a month ago, where Xi was coronated as the supreme leader
for the third time.
For the third time, and may there be infinite times. But
infinite 5-year plans.
And we were discussing is he gonna sort of loosen up his approach a little bit, because he's been the most extreme of everybody in the world in terms of COVID restrictions. And even to the extent of hurting his economy.
Look, it just goes to prove that a lot of Chinese people were looking at that party Congress and expecting something to come out of it. Maybe not out of the Congress directly, but a couple of weeks later, there was this sense that they were slowly going to start doing what everybody else has done. And when they doubled down, people went apeshit. I mean, it's no big mystery, I guess.
And it seems that the primary reason behind it is because I'm reading here that they still have not approved the mRNA vaccines, which I think work the best out of all of them. And China hasn't been able to develop the technology, right?
No, they haven't been able domestically. Therefore, they delayed the entire vaccination campaign, and they basically focused on the elderly. But I mean, at some point, just declare defeat, import the damn vaccines, and just get it over with. I mean,
that would be the reasonable approach, obviously.
You are not going to lose as much face as they think. I mean, every country...
This is the George and Luigi recommended approach. Take it, chairman. Save yourself from madness.
Sometimes you take a loss to avoid an even bigger loss. And by that, I mean, you take the loss of face in this case to avoid your... And
then it's getting to be... you're getting protests. They're holding blank pieces of paper. This is extreme.
They are holding... that blew my mind. Because... Like, you don't even need to write anything. It's like, what we want. Like, why you're doing this. Here's a blank piece of paper.
I mean, censoring the World Cup. Jesus Christ. I mean, who are you? North Korea, for God's sake.
And the state apparatus has already begun to do what the state apparatus does best. Chinese authorities have begun inquiries into some of the people who gathered at weekend protests.
Obviously.
People who were at Beijing demonstrations told Reuters.
Very brave people.
As police remained out in numbers on the city streets. And this is...
they're patrolling the streets. Yeah.
to deter any further demonstrations.
Who's gonna demonstrate when you've got fucking policemen patrolling?
Who's gonna demonstrate when you know that if you get arrested, like your whole existence?
Yeah. This is a completely authoritarian state. No ifs, buts about it. You're gonna get the van at midnight. Trials. You're gonna get the van at midnight, folks. This is gonna happen, and everybody knows it in there. And these are very brave people. They'd be commended. You're playing with fire because these are very brave people.
The people that go out to demonstrate seriously have balls of steel. I mean, respect to all kinds of respect to them.
Some of them, I imagine, have nothing left to lose at this point.
Yeah, most probably. And I really find it strange that a country can be a powder keg for so long, and you really need a trigger. You need the tragic kind of trigger to spark the movement.
Yeah,
it's been, I don't know. Even in Greece, if you remember,
it can be very weird. It can be very weird what the trigger is.
It's usually the death of someone. Even
yes.
A decade ago, it was a cop killing a kid, shooting a kid that sparked the mass riots that went on for years.
Yeah.
So what else has been happening around the world? We've got
Trump. There's Trump.
Yeah, we had the orange man.
The orange man cometh. I cometh.
The orange man strikes back.
But he announced, and his speech, little over an hour, I think, clocked a little over an hour. And he didn't mention election fraud, Luigi, which blew my fucking mind. Yeah, not even once. Didn't even mention abortion, by the way, which you had a big hand in, Donny boy. Take a bow. What the fuck?
The reason he didn't mention election fraud is I was looking at some polls right before the midterms, and
everybody hates it. Everybody hates it, obviously.
80-something% of voters are like, we're concerned about threats to democracy, and you're like, yeah, he's the threat to democracy.
Basically. And I think he was trying to court the elites of the Republican Party, the moneyed interests, because they've been pulling away pretty fast after the midterm results. Because with such results, you expected. He did abysmally. Everyone he backed it. Almost everyone he backed it abysmally. And the one who did best of all, he's now feuding with because he's scared of him. His arch nemesis.
The Florida man.
Ron the Sanctimonious. What a stupid nickname, Donny boy. Think a better one, please. There was no election. Instead, I loved it because the approach we're going with, and by the way, out of all of the Republican figureheads, online, etc., the influencers, Shabibol, the rest of them, most of them got really angry with the results and actually started blaming Trump. The one who got it right, Luigi, who is most attuned to the orange man. Who do you think that was? That instantly got what Trump was going to go with regarding the results. Who didn't claim fraud? It was Tim Pool. It was Tim Pool, the one with the beanie, the stupid one with the beanie.
He had an interview with Kanye West.
I imagine, but it was him. He immediately started going with the approach that actually, if you look at the numbers, we did well. Every one of the idiots we supported didn't win, but we got the House fucking barely, but we got it. And the Democrats are probably going to have one extra seat in the Senate.
Yeah, probably.
But he got it. Like, Trump went with that approach. That actually I supported 250 candidates and 243 won. That's pretty good, right? And I was like, no, Donny, you didn't do good.
The most bizarre part of that speech was he tried to play tough on crime. He was like, and we are recommending the death penalty for all dealers of drug dealers that get caught because it's the only way, folks.
It's the only way. The ones that don't get caught, you're smart. But the ones we catch, they're stupid. They sell drugs for money. Money.
My guy is running on the death penalty in
He's running,
2022.
Luigi, he's running on the fucking Rodrigo Philippines ticket, which is the winning ticket. I mean, Rodrigo, legend. We miss you.
For some background. He wasn't the most democratic man around, let's put it that way.
But he was a badass, an evil badass that murdered drug dealers.
Mostly evil.
But mostly evil, yeah. The badass was mostly PR. But Trump loves him, loved the plan. He's going to roll it out in the States. Fentanyl, so bad. And then let's just go on a very brief tangent. He goes on about fentanyl, shit like that. They got addicted legally through pharmaceuticals, like the Sackler family, Purdue Pharmaceuticals, selling this shit, giving them through doctors' prescriptions to people, got them addicted. Now they're into fentanyl. So, I mean, the problem is a bit more complicated than shoot the drug dealers. Shoot them. Just shoot them. They'll be dead, and then there will be no more drugs. But yeah, that was Trump. We had a mass shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub, Luigi.
I saw that.
Did you see that? Oh my God, Jesus Christ. He was hopped up on meth during the fucking interview, dude. Visibly hopped up on fucking meth. And he was like, gay club. What was he doing at a gay club? What was he doing at a gay club? And the other guy was like, he showed them kill 10 people, dude. He's a mass murderer. And that place is okay. That place is okay. And like, Jesus Christ. And then you understand how the son can sort of derail that much in his life and become such a hateful fucking imbecile that he goes and murders people in a nightclub because of what they do with their willies, folks.
Seriously, I mean, what people do in their bedrooms. What I mean,
it's not your toilet for all I care. Exactly. And then all the far right commentator credit troglodytes, Neanderthals,
advocates,
free speech warriors. We're all like, now the left wing is claiming that we encourage this by spreading hate for LGBTQ people. And I'm like, preposterous, good sir. When they call them groomers, fearmonger about them 24/7, seek their audiences on them, constantly imply that this is a disease, something bad, something that is not healthy. That's just how they show their unadulterated love, dude. That's just how, that's love. That's love. All they give is love, those sick pieces of shit.
One love.
One love. Wow. Yeah. But that was sickening. What is there to discuss, really? Sickening stuff. You can see how they're becoming more of a target as the rhetoric keeps being pumped up. And as the hate mongering increases. And I imagine to see that, sorry, Luigi, I imagine we're going to see that with Jewish people as well.
Yeah, it's already started. I mean, look at Kenya.
Exactly.
Look at what's happening with that. Honestly, I think it's going to get worse heading into 2024. And the other piece of news that really flew under the radar was that Biden announced too. Biden sort of said that I'll probably run, Jack.
Wow. When did that happen?
Wait, let me find it. Biden says he plans to run. May decide early next year.
I may decide, Jack.
Yeah. I'll see, Jack.
I may be dead by then. We'll see. We'll see.
But if we're gonna get a repeat of 2020, you have to imagine that like a lot of people are either not going to vote or are going to vote just with their pockets, which basically means whatever the economy is doing in a couple of years.
Last time though, definitely abortion played a massive part in it. And in the last election, the midterms. And to the degree that there were Fox News personalities going around making note that young unmarried women were voting in favor of the Democrats in droves, in numbers never seen before. I remember which douchebag on Fox News was, but he was like, we have to marry them. We have to marry them. Maybe that's why they're voting in droves against you.
Does that spark, though, carry over for 2
I
years.
doubt it.
I doubt it too. People forget quickly.
Yeah, in 2 years we're gonna have.
Quickly, 2 years is too long. And
honestly, I mean,
yeah,
Jack has promised that he's gonna pass into legislation Roe v. Wade, but he's not gonna be able to do it.
He's not gonna be able.
He hasn't got the House.
Exactly.
Beyond that,
so he's going to run.
What does he gain with the Senate? Should we mention that? With the Senate, he gains the ability to appoint judges.
Exactly.
And the ability to appoint his cabinet as well.
Yeah, precisely.
He gets some things, but it's not going to be like having the House, because with the House, you get the ability to write any legislation.
The House mediates money. And that's what we really care about. The money.
We're going to have long discussions about the budget every fucking year.
And we're going to have the fucking government shutdowns and all that theater all over again. Brace yourselves, folks. It's coming.
They already started investigations about Hunter. We want to learn everything about Hunter. Everything. Find out what's the best flavor of crack that he enjoys. We want to learn everything. Everything. Best dealer in Delaware. We want all the information. Give it to us, Titan. Find the Titan.
How many porn films did Hunter shoot while on drug addicted, on drug fueled frenzies?
on a drug fueled masturbation frenzy. Find out, Titan. Obviously, the best hookers. Hunter is a boss, obviously. Based.
Hunter has been having fun for the last decade.
They're going to go the Bill Clinton approach with Hunter.
Yeah. Bill Clinton is still having fun.
I mean, for the fucking Republicans, we're like, But I mean, what is there even to discuss? The situation is so polarized. The information gathering and receiving is so polarized that no single Republican will even listen to it. But I mean, it's true, dude. I mean, whatever Hunter was doing at the Burisma board in fucking Ukraine, getting free money. Obviously corruption, dude. So you don't have to fucking say that as if it's fucking, the sacred truth. I mean, do you know what fucking Donny Boy is doing? I mean, Donny Boy is basically being openly sponsored by Mohammed bin Salman. He should be getting the sponsorship by now. He's sponsoring it. The whole golf thing, the parallel to the official golf thing that they used to have. Then they've started one with Saudi Arabia, and every fucking tournament is just happening in Trump's golf courses, which is
Mar-a-Lago,
in Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago, by the way, I mentioned it. Go on. You want to say
I was going to take it the serious direction. I was going to say that if people are going to go to their wallets in 2 years, like the economic stars don't look that bright. Like
but when do they look that bright?
No, but they look particularly dim this time.
Give us the analysis.
Look, I really focus on business surveys because business surveys give you a sense of what's happening
before
on the ground. And
you get a sense about investment as well, which is very important in the long-term growth of
and about
economy.
Prices, about employment,
excellent,
all of the nice stuff. And what they're basically saying is that the United Kingdom and Europe are either already in recession or soon will be, and the US is headed the same route, but it's just going to take longer. So the real
we're closer to the problem. I agree with that.
The reason America has been so much more resilient than Europe is twofold. The first one is the energy.
We're closer to the problem.
The US is essentially energy independent. I mean, they export there. So that's one part. The second part, and this is something I learned recently, when the Fed raises interest rates, versus when the European Central Bank does it. Like in the United States, most mortgages are on a 30-year fixed rate.
We've discussed that. How long did you say?
It's a 30-year fixed rate.
30-year fixed rate mortgage.
In Europe, if I go get a mortgage, it's going to be 3 years.
Why are we being
variable?
Why are we being scammed? Why are we being scammed out of this?
It has to do with the risk management. The banks don't want to loan you for 30 years at fixed, but the US government through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they essentially subsidize it. They give the banks a big pass
I'm gonna go that the Americans are doing it better than us.
No, 30 years fix is much better for the consumer. But here's the point. The point is, when interest rates go up in Europe, it
immediately translates to mortgages.
Everybody.
It affects everybody immediately. I mean, almost immediately, somebody's 2-year fixed-term mortgage is going to expire and it's going to have to go to the variable rate. And almost immediately, they're going to rise threefold, whatever he's paying.
Precisely.
While in America, it's going much longer cash.
In the US, it will deter the next buyer of a mortgage. So it's a much more gradual process. It takes several more quarters to play out. Therefore, you are probably looking at a recession in Europe in the first quarter of 2023, and the US might only get there, in the middle or later in the year. But also, to bring it back to the politics, if the US really does go into a recession, this time next year or middle of next year, that means the economic memory that people will have when they go to vote in 2024 is going to be a shitty one. I mean, it's going to be a bad one.
January 6th is going to be a kid's walk.
So, I mean, that honestly makes for a much closer political landscape than anybody would hope. I go, it's going to be another razor close election.
I still think it's going to be Jag and Donny Boy.
Let's hope it's not. Let's hope for everybody's sakes.
I still don't think that Ronnie can do it, that Ronnie will be able to take down the king.
Ronald McDonald is coming for you.
Ronnie the sanctimonious. He's so sanctimonious. I don't think Ronnie can actually face him on the debate stage. I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can pull it off. I may be wrong, but...
You're talking about DeSantis.
Yeah. I don't think that DeSantis can actually face off against the Donny.
I think he can.
You think he can on the debate stage?
Yeah, I've seen some of his recent materials.
It's going to be difficult to thread the needle of how he approaches this. Because...
He's adopted all of the Trump mannerisms.
Yeah, he does the hands. He does the hands.
He does the hands. He does the stupid looks. He does the stupid hands.
But why would they go? Why would they go with the fucking imitation when they've got the real thing?
Well, because one of them is 40 years younger than the other.
Fair enough, but he's so virile. He's so strong.
And he, like DeSantis, doesn't have a lot of baggage attached to him through election or attempted election.
Yeah, I've noticed though, and I don't think this is the wrong sort of thinking. If you're the kind of guy who actually supports Trump, which is the wrong sort of thinking, but let's go with it. You support him. I've heard a lot of them being in interviews like, we see Ron as the successor and Trump is still running. So maybe 2028 for Ron. So he has to thread that needle of not going hard on Trump's ideas.
Not alienating.
It's gonna be difficult for Ronnie. It's gonna be difficult. But he has a lot of backing because even Murdoch has pulled away from Trump for the moment. And I mean, Tiger still threads the needle. Sean Hannity obviously will never escape that asshole. He's
too deep inside that asshole.
He's vacuum packed inside Donny Boy's asshole, and that's never gonna go away. And you have to understand that to a certain extent, yes, they shape public opinion. Yes, they stoke the fires, but they stoke the fires that their audience wants to see stoked. Mm-hmm. So it's a weird, symbiotic, fucked up, vicious cycle. So they can't just go 180 against Trump. Their audiences have been completely primed to be in favor of Trump. I mean, imagine Sean Hannity just going, after being, I don't know, for 4 years, 6 years, and then the next day he just starts his show and it's Trump sucks. Ronnie Boy. They might actually turn off the fucking channel. So, I mean, they still gotta make money. Murdoch's number one most important goal in the world is to be able to influence right-wing public opinion. He can't lose that in any way. Period. Public opinion, of course, but you get what I mean.
Right, I think we've exhausted that subject. A small update on Ukraine.
Kherson has been liberated.
Kherson, more important, I would say. The Russians have attacked the energy grid.
They've been doing that.
All this time, they didn't attack the power plants. And I think the calculation was we are probably going to take over and have to rule this country. We want, a functioning power grid.
We don't want to send them to the ice age.
Yeah, and them shelling it right before winter basically means that they don't think this is going to end early, and they also...
And they haven't given any indication that they think it's going to end early.
Yeah, but I mean, you are destroying something that you plan to take over. It shows that you've struggled. You've really struggled.
They have struggled, and they are behaving like absolute terrorists. But they have struggled immensely. And
we are talking about 60 or so million people.
Humiliating defeat, to be honest, against Ukraine. Humiliated to the utmost extent. And I think there's no actual anticipation for further victories from Ukraine, right? Because there's the river now, and it provides natural fortification. And coupled with the winter and the temperatures going really, really low,
it's a
stalemate
place.
Yeah. It's an impasse. It's a Mexican standoff.
Nice, but the problem is a statement won't necessarily bring peace talks, because Zelensky is talking about getting Crimea back.
Well, he can't do it by force without the West supplying him.
Yeah. And the West, I mean, you have to imagine war fatigue is sort of setting in. The Europeans, by the way, in 6
prices
days,
have increased for some time now.
The Europeans are going to enact the Russian ban on oil, and they're still discussing
It was in December. Cap. It was in December, right? Early December. It's going to happen now. Yeah.
And they're still discussing a price cap, and if it come into force, how high it will be. I understand that.
The thing is, Luigi, if they want to, go on, Holland.
So essentially, the price cap, the consensus for the price cap is around $65 to $70 a barrel, which is essentially where.
Is it about all oil? Is it about all oil or just Russian oil?
Russian oil, but the hardliners, the Polish mainly, are basically saying, look at Russian crude; it's trading at 65 to 70. So if you put a price cap there, it basically changes nothing. But the reason Brussels wants it there is they don't want to take it too low, because if you do take it too low, Russia is going to say, all right, I'm not producing anymore, and that pushes prices higher in the rest of the world. It's a global market.
Yeah. So it's still got to say it's a delicate dance. The oil markets, the oil barons, and each one better than the other.
And across the field, you've got OPEC also saying, and OPEC, of course, is in cahoots with Russia. OPEC Plus includes Russia.
He's not the most sly at these things, Mohammed bin Chainsaw, is he? I saw a picture of him at the World Cup. Lovely. He looks lovely. In the afternoon sun, he looks beautiful. As he chainsaws you to oblivion. Good man, good lad.
A necessary evil, I think, in the eyes of the Europeans and the Americans.
In the eyes of the Lord.
And Biden recently, they basically gave him immunity. Recently about the Khashoggi.
Joe was cucked. He got cucked.
Yeah, he got cucked. And again, he didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, the Americans love getting cucked by the Saudis, right?
OPEC is discussing cutting its supply, which is the opposite of what the Americans want.
Double cucked.
Yeah. So, all right.
What can I say, Chuck? I like it.
I like getting cooked. To end our glorious session, we have to discuss Twitter and Elon a little bit, because it's been a shit show. A proper clown.
Oh, Elon.
So
defeat the spam bots. Such is your destiny. He's fucked up to a degree once thought unimaginable. He has fucked up, Luigi, to such a degree that I've stopped bothering with it, because I'm like, let this guy fuck up with it. Let him fuck it. Let him unleash his demons on what he most craves, and just let him do it. Let him get nasty with it, because he's getting very nasty with it, to the degree that it makes me wonder how the fuck he's been managing his other actually
normal businesses,
the normal, and some would even say visionary, the electric cars thing, the rockets to space. How the fuck has he been managing those?
It seems he's been making it up as he goes along the entire time.
He's done so bad. First of all, Luigi, his idea. I mean, the whole blue checkmark thing was to denote authenticity, because there were the troll accounts that were imitating other accounts, and they had to figure out how do we denote
people.
How do we denote
people,
who is who, basically. I mean, for important people, like Elon. And his decision to charge people for it, falsely claiming that this is going to stop spam bots. What he's not telling you people is that he doesn't give a shit if spam bots buy the blue checkmark, because they'll be buying it. And that's all he fucking cares about, getting money for the stupid checkmark.
He gave up on that stupid idea.
Why did he give up? Why did he give up? By the way, he didn't. He pulled it back. I think it's coming.
You can still get a blue checkmark, but the businesses, for example, official organizations will get a second check mark.
He's come up with many check marks. Elon of many check marks. There's going to be gray ones, there's going to be gold ones, there's going to be blue ones you can't pay me for. And I mean Jesus Christ.
If you pay enough, you get a SpaceX rocket emoji next to your name.
Power to the people, right? Now he said power to the people. Do you person want the power back? Subscribe to my shitty platform for $8.99 a month, and we'll give you a beautiful blue check mark to go next to your name. Oh, it's so prestigious, Luigi. It's so official.
The fun part, his latest feud has been with Apple. So he's taking aim at Apple, and he's been tweeting stuff like,
"Why?"
I can't do an Elon voice, but like
the Elon voice is very weird. It's very lizard person. You gotta give it to him. Apple is a very it's a very weird situation.
It's the accent you would expect of an African man that's living in the United States.
A man whose heritage includes Zambia and emerald mines.
Bingo,
a humble street
a man of humble origins
with an eye for coin
from South Africa. But so he's been saying that basically he's been complaining that Apple
named after the commander of Battlestar Galactica.
And naming his kids after
C3PO XX error message. I mean, only when you're a billionaire can you get away with that. The kid, I mean, my condolences.
so after he made driverless cars and the rockets that goes to Mars, and after he defended free speech, and he brought back every person that was perma-banned from Twitter, or they will be back these days. He took aim at Apple, and he's been saying basically that they charge 30% whenever an app is downloaded on their app store. They charge 30%. Google does exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
he's been complaining.
I imagine that they've got very similar rates, if not the same.
Yeah. So essentially, what happens is he's been saying that they steal a good chunk of revenue from Twitter. And he's been like, democratize the App Store.
He's amazing, isn't he? I've seen the other thing as well, that how dare advertisers flee from my fucking shitty website. This is not free speech. And I'm like, dude, free speech is not fucking advertisers paying you for your fucking shitty website.
Free speech is not hate speech either. I mean, there's good reasons. We had some boundaries.
Suddenly you've got Super Mario flipping off everybody.
From Nintendo Japan official blue check mark.
And I mean, I'm not against the pharmaceutical stock going down 10%, but that's still not good for your company, Elon. Because Eli is not gonna buy fucking advertising in your fucking company that just costed 10% of its market cap. He would ban me if I was on his website.
Watching the Twitter saga has been so surreal because just like seeing him just being an erratic asshole on Twitter.
It's very Trumpian, right?
Yeah, it gives you the sense though, like how is it working for this motherfucker? Like how does he run
Zambian
his
emerald mines, Luigi. I mean, if your father had fucking emeralds, you could probably get away with this shit.
I mean, for a staunch supporter of free speech, I was reading that some SpaceX engineers...
he's been banning people left and right, Luigi.
In his companies, like whenever a Twitter employee criticized him,
fired.
Back in July, some SpaceX employees, engineers, wrote an open letter basically saying that Elon tweeting all day about random shit distracts the entire company and is probably holding back productivity.
And it's such a good point as well.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And he fired every last one of them.
God, Elon was like, seize them. That's the thing.
The godfather of free speech.
The godfather of free speech. Lord Commander of the betas.
Defeater of the spam bots. Conqueror. Oh, I don't know.
As is his destiny. But he's going to be fighting those spam bots for a while. Let's hope that the engineers at the rest of his actual companies manage to get some good work in now.
When your CEO is making headlines every single day, and every time you sit at the dinner table with your relatives, it's like, so how is the Twitter thing going? I mean, how can you concentrate on your other businesses? Seriously, nobody should be allowed to be the CEO of more than one business. I can't think of a single example in history where it worked, like let alone 3.
By the way, he seems to be addicted to the idea that Twitter is some kind of fucking bastion, the marketplace of ideas where everybody in modern life gathers to discuss and disseminate their knowledge among each other. And I'm like, dude, it's a fucking cesspit. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yes. And by the way, I'll go one further because I am on Twitter since he took over. Like my following doubled, and it's been almost entirely bots, almost entirely spam bots.
The whole thing. But beyond that, the whole website is not geared for having discussions. The whole website is geared to have quick dispersions of small things written, say news. The way it worked for news because
bite-sized piece of information.
Yes, that can be delivered as quickly as possible without much editing required, and that works. And you can deliver news quickly. It worked that way because of the design, of the actual structure of how the website works and how people communicate through it. It's not made for discussion. No one is actually discussing things in there. Everybody's dunking on everybody.
Everybody's trying to play smart. It's like, oh, my dick is bigger than yours.
To be honest, I think that's a phenomenon on every fucking social media website that I've seen.
But I mean, here's how I would characterize it.
It's like a bunch of hopped up on steroids, little Dexters from Dexter's laboratory, all being like, actually, you check that out. Why is everybody so fucking mean?
So hear me out. Like Facebook is where you go to chat with your relatives.
It's the boomers.
It's
boomer territory.
Instagram.
It's basically Shabibo's domain.
Instagram is where you go to just pretend you have the best life ever.
Half of it is just restaurant dishes at this point.
Yeah. LinkedIn is where you go just to pretend that you have an amazing career. And Twitter is where you go to play smart. Like that's literally the basic function.
And get quick news from the people you follow.
Bingo.
It's not discussion oriented. But anyway. Why does he go on about this fucking marketplace of ideas? It annoys me so much. It sounds so pretentious. Everything he does, Luigi, is so fucking pretentious. That's why I say his biggest problem is that he sniffs too many of his fart juices. It's
sure.
too much fart juice, dude. I mean, you're not spreading the light of consciousness to the universe. Get a fucking grip, Elon. Even Bezos doesn't say this shit.
The only thing we can never take away from him is he did the self-landing rockets. That will
100%. What will you say though? I mean, to better rephrase that, Luigi, he was in charge of a company whose engineers managed to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, for fuck's sake, I mean, he didn't fucking build it, people. People are acting like he built those fucking rockets, Luigi. Oh, he's a genius. And he's like Tesla before him. Nah, he's just the guy who managed to fucking name the cars that he has engineers make called Tesla. That doesn't mean he's fucking Tesla.
The annoying part is the real talent are his employees, and he treats his employees like shit, as we've seen over the last few days. I imagine he treats
in Twitter, 100%.
Like everywhere, like if an open letter gets you fired because there is 100%. No dissent.
The guy's a little dictator, you can tell. Too many of his fat juices, that's why.
And I fucking fear he might end up in politics at some point. He might decide
I believe
that fixing every industry is not enough.
He wants to cut. He wants to cut
his basement.
He may want to cut out the middleman and go directly himself into politics.
That's a scary thought.
But I'm beginning that sense as well, because he's the billionaire who most wants to be liked by the people, easily.
He doesn't give a shit.
But doesn't want to be hated, Luigi. But he doesn't give a shit. But Elon actually wants to be liked.
Doesn't need to be worshipped. Is the difference?
He's got money for his pleasures. He doesn't need to have the little people sticking up for him. But Elon loves it. I think just looking at his pictures when he was young gives you a pretty good idea why he wants the attention so bad.
Getting bullied in school.
There we go, bullies. And the emerald mines, and this is what you get. The combo. you get Elon. You get Elon, defeater of the spam bots. Anyway, and let's finish up. Let's finish up, Luigi, with Yi, with the artist formerly known as Kanye.
Yi.
Yi.
What's a Yi?
What? Well, Yi says that he's had he's announced Festival 2024. He
announces every election. It's not an election cycle unless he announces.
At this point, it's not an election cycle until he announces. He's had a meeting. He went to Mar-a-Lago and he went there to meet Trump, have dinner with him, and he went there with fucking Nick Fuentes. I'm not certain you know Nick Fuentes, do you?
No.
Nick Fuentes is one of the fringest white supremacist online media figures out there. He's quite fringe, but he does have a following. It's not like he doesn't. We didn't get the third figure that went to the dinner with Trump. Trump said that he didn't know who that was. I had the dinner with Yi, and then he brought another guy, never heard of him.
He brought his minions.
Never heard of them. But Yi said on Twitter, I think, he announced later on that he offered Trump to be the vice president, which is Yi, what the fuck? I mean,
especially after all the positive press.
At the very least, you're going to be his vice president. What the fuck, Yi? And I think at that point, Trump started shouting at him that he wasn't going to win. And the meeting didn't go well.
Dude, seriously, with the whole Kanye thing, I've never seen such a spectacular middle-age crisis.
It's the worst I've ever seen. Such a descent into absolute putridness. And the guy is unsalvageable at this point. He's got his fucking list, Luigi, on his phone with all the Jews. He keeps showing the list, Luigi.
Schindler's List.
I want to find them. I don't want to save those.
Kanye should migrate to Germany at this point and join the Alternatives for Deutschland.
They're going to lock him up if he steps foot in Germany.
Probably.
They're seriously gonna look.
Probably the Germans still have some decency.
They're probably gonna lock him up. So, travel advice when you're gonna be the new president, don't go to Germany. They've got laws against the shit you've been spewing. and he's appointed Milo, the honorable Milo. The ex-gay, pro-Christian, weird-ass Milo. He's actually not gay now. He says that he's converted back to straightdom, back to straightdom, back in the closet.
Bro, we shouldn't be giving these people attention or
He appointed him as his campaign manager for 2024.
I get. I mean, he could have appointed Mickey Mouse or Winnie the Pooh for all we care at this point.
Yeah, let's be honest. He's not gonna win.
I
Will
think
he make it dead? I think he's gonna run because he ran last time and he got 3 votes or something. But he's gonna get 6 votes this time.
He's gonna get 6 votes and drop out, and he's gonna make headlines both times. But
if he makes it to the debates, it's gonna be spicy.
Not gonna make it to the debates.
If he does, though, that's gonna be spicy. He on the debate stage with Donny Boy and Sanctimonious.
Oh my god, that would be right television.
Luigi, that's gonna be the best television. He's gonna bring out the list. Honestly, on fucking
the ratings will go through the charts, through the roof.
You're gonna see ratings you've never seen before because Kanye is gonna start going through his list, and then Trump's gonna go fucking ballistic. It's gonna be the best.
Then DeSantis is gonna be like, who are these people? Who are like? I'm too strong for both of them.
He's sanctimonious. I mean, Trump gets it right. It's not a good nickname, Donny.
Yeah,
it's too long. But it's too long.
It makes him sound like a serious person.
Yeah, Donny, you don't want to sound like a too serious person, exactly. and I felt that now that you mentioned, we can end on this, that the whole speech he gave was too serious. It was too serious for Donny. I get it's an attempt to court back the paymasters from the Republican Party, etc. But it was too long. It was too long. It was too serious. It's not classic Donny, and I don't think you can do it without the classic.
He's been off the meds, it seems.
Jack's been getting the good ones.
Jack has livened up, I have to admit. Come on, Jack.
Give me a break.
2024, Jack.
They're gonna have to come fucking wheel me out in a fucking wheelchair. I'm still gonna beat his ass like a trap. Should we end it?
Let's end on a high note. It's been a great session, as always.
Excellent session.
Thank you to everybody that made it thus far. I also like our new format, more informal.
Well,
It flows better.
We need change. We need change in our lives. And the
wind of change. The wind of change is upon us.
Exactly. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.